Okay. Is there a motion to approve the October minutes?
So moved. I already said that.
All in favor?
Fine.
Aye. Okay, motion carried, because I don't pay attention to 400 series. We left off on, I think, goal 3.3.
About to have a stroke.
Go to the other side of the table.
Is that right, goal 3.3?
I think it is, I'm looking for it right now.
Oh, I didn't bring the hard
Most of these are,
Chase will be right back.
most of these next several, I gotta assume are pretty standard kind of things.
Yeah, but I don't know if he left to get something.
You want to get the hard copy?
Oh, okay. As people read, you know, were there any questions, concerns, and I'll throw it back out to Chase when he comes back. Oh my God.
Like I said, all of these seem pretty standard. So
Yeah,
I don't know that I have any updates or anything for this. It's like 4 or 5 of them.
they all look standard, I just see a Please, you have something?
I don't think so. So we do keep our, just as a clarifying question, we keep the medical records, employee medical records are not in our personnel files.
They should.
No, they are
I
not.
think so.
Yeah, they have kept
They're
separate.
separate. All right. No.
Which one are you on?
40393.
You're on 3.
Yeah, so no, otherwise, no, I agree with this.
Yeah. Chase, there was one clarifying question that the medical records are kept separate from personnel records, and I assume so.
Yes. I mean, we're trying to move to all electronic, so, I mean, they are, but I mean, you have medical insurance, right? Is that what we're talking about? For
Is it medical
Communicable
records?
diseases, 403.3
Yeah.
section.
I mean, we do, we've had the same system.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just going through 403E. Okay, that was all under the same umbrella, so 403-3R1, universal precautions regulations, any questions, concerns with that? Four 3.4, hazardous chemical disclosure.
I'm trying to remember of our compliance trainings. Do we, there's a lot of them. Is one of them a hazardous chemical? Because you have that in
There is, but does everyone take that? I know I have to, but I'm not
I
sure.
think all new employees take
Okay.
it.
It says each employee will annually review information about hazardous substances.
Yeah, see, I know it's on my annual review
Okay.
list. Remember it's on
It's
yours?
separate.
Do you do that one now?
Yeah.
You gotta do the hazmat one too, don't you?
Yeah. But I was trying to think if it's a standalone or if it's tied in with another one.
That's
I
what I
thought it
was
was
trying to think too.
standalone. Maybe it wasn't.
I don't know. You'll get the certificates out of my file.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I got mine right here, let me see.
I think it's tied in with another one.
I think so too, yeah. I think I
What's that
did it,
called?
there's just, it's hard to remember exactly.
File open up.
Okay.
And then just new employees getting an orientation and then every employee reviewing that annually.
Yeah.
So there's a distinction between how you get the information.
It is not separate. I believe it is is it connected to the bloodborne pathogens one?
Well,
Well,
that's
we
what I
think
wanted
that
to say
was-
first, but I
I
wasn't
think
sure I
it
was
is.
right.
Yeah, I think it is.
Bloodborne pathogens, hazardous materials or something,
Yeah.
that seems like the name of it.
Okay.
435.5, substance-free workplace. So Steve, you do the publication and dissemination of the policy, or under your direction, somebody else does it?
It is this one that's publicly posted, or is this just one that's in the manual? I'm trying to, that's what I was looking for.
Well, I mean, we'll have to figure that out. Because, I mean, I don't think technically this was one of the board policies, and I mean, we have it.
Yeah.
It's a board policy because it was legally mandated the board have a policy on a drug-free workplace. So it's published on
It's in our policy
the
manual.
website,
right,
the policy
but I
manual,
don't know
things
if
like that, but I don't think we don't technically distribute it every year.
To each.
It's accessible to every employee.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't send it like an annual reminder every year?
No.
So you don't have to sign this form that's in the next one?
What?
There's, the next section has a form that you're supposed to sign.
Nope. We didn't
I
have
mean, I would not be opposed to that. Somebody else might be.
I'm
Yeah,
reading it
yeah,
carefully.
yeah, I'm pointing to you.
I know, yeah.
I think one of the things we'll have to do as we go through this is we'll have to find out what else they recommend that we distribute annually, because I think there's quite a few things that we have in the posted annually, but not distributed annually category. So we might have to look at our annual distributions and look at maybe starting to lump some of those things together.
Yeah.
Because what you don't wanna do is you don't wanna have, we have 2,000 employees. You don't wanna have 2,000 half sheets here, and another 2,000 half sheets, and another 2,000 half sheets. That's a miserable nightmare to keep track of. What we've done with Public School Works is it's electronic.
Right.
So like I was able to look up all my certificates because I've got them in a folder. I can look them up and see what I've taken and passed in there.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of those things where if it's an acknowledgement, we want to load it into Public School Works, have them read it and acknowledge it in there. And
Yeah.
and have that, the record keeping take place there,
Right.
so.
You mean like our confidentiality statement?
Exactly,
Right.
exactly, yeah.
Perfect.
So is that a problem doing it that way?
No, it's not a problem doing it that way, but then we need to look at the content of this. Recognize that we need to make sure that we work with the association so that the content matches their expectations.
We have, because like Brady was saying, whether it's, I don't think it's confidential, was what I was thinking, but there's one in there that all you have to do is click that you've read it, and they
Yeah.
remember what it is.
Yeah,
It's not confidentiality, but it would be something like this, so we would just have a screen that would flash up with the information, and at the
yeah,
end.
you read it, you acknowledge. that
You would
had access
acknowledge
to
it and you accept it, and then as Steve says, it generates a record of Public School Works. We just have to create the module on Public School Works,
Yeah,
and then we should be good to go there.
yeah, right. So it's federal law, I mean,
Right.
so it's, yeah, right, you're using the Controlled Substances Act to make the
Right.
definitions, so. Yeah.
Okay.
That one probably, like all states, is we're gonna run into if they expand your,
Mhm.
cannabis-related, medicines. That's gonna be where you're gonna get snared a little bit on CSA. But that's not really us issue as
Right.
much as a legislative issue at the state.
And then the next one is the regulations, Form 3.5R1.
the superintendent in the number one there a little more often.
Just for fun?
5 times in there.
Yeah.
They wanna make sure
So-
everybody understands who.
If the employee is convicted of a criminal drug offense committed in the workplace, the employee must notify the employer of the conviction within 5 days.
Sorry.
That's language used previously. I'm just trying to imagine how that would work.
I am too.
Suppose if you were at a school event and you were
Arrested
got
on
public
site.
intox or something like that, right? Arrested on site, you know, a school employee at a school event, then you'd have to notify supervisors. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. That's right.
They hang locked up in handcuffs and say, hey, by the way.
Exactly,
You might see this
Yeah.
happening
Oh,
right
it's
now.
right,
It's good, oh,
So that happens after the fact.
right. Because you
Oh,
might have
yeah,
been
yeah, yeah,
arrested,
you're right, yeah.
but just because you're arrested, you have a presumption of innocence.
yes.
Well, Gravy does.
I. Yeah, so you're right, okay.
Any other questions on that R1? Okay. 403.6, drug and alcohol testing program.
So just FYI for you, as you're reading this, especially down on that second page in the yellow highlighted, so our transportation carriers, our vendors, always have their own separate policies for this. So this is for district vans, things like that.
Right.
Is there?
Not for our bus drivers, that's totally separate.
Okay, so is there, I'm just trying to think about this. We don't have a school vehicle that transports 16 or more,
We don't.
but we might have something that weighs over 26,001 pounds. Would we physical things at all?
Garbage truck,
Yeah, I'm just thinking, it isn't gonna be like,
it's not gonna be one of our passenger vans.
no.
I mean, this is really designed for buses.
Yeah.
We wanna make sure that the bus drivers are at that.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about best practice. Does it apply to other vehicles besides just large passenger vehicles? We didn't come to a conclusion, but there's an opportunity for discussion there.
So just with the passenger vans, there's no requirement for them to meet this?
I mean, not technically. Because they don't require a
They
CDL.
don't require a CDL, they're just
Oh.
regular driver's license.
Yeah.
So they fall outside this scope.
In some instances, people with extra service contracts, coach, for instance, might have to provide transportation for their students
Absolutely,
using a
yep.
district. So that's where we have to really think that through. So you're requiring them to transport the kids, but then subjecting them, which I don't think none of us would, you know, wouldn't be able to pass the test, but I think it brings up some questions about what the drug and alcohol testing would look like.
So when we were meeting last time, there was another transportation policy, and you kind of, I think, kicked it to us to do a little bit more looking. And I'd suggest that we hold this one off too, because I was looking for something else, I can't remember what it was. But there's a whole other section, either in the 700s or 800s, on transportation. And so maybe there's a couple here that would have some cross-reference to those. We wait, because we wouldn't want to do something here and then forget to do it back in the, in the 700s. And so it might be something we can do. Although I don't know if that's going to impact how you take these to the board for approval.
We're taking them all at once.
Right.
They're not
We're
going.
taking them in mass.
Okay.
Yeah. Not gonna do them one at a time.
because as I read this language, a lot of this is similar to some of the federal language on alcohol and drug testing for drivers, and doesn't mean we can't do something different.
So Chase, you're saying we're holding it, is that?
Well,
what
I
our
think that would be
recommendation?
my suggestion, and I didn't read the section on transportation close enough, but I
Yeah.
think some of these concepts are, let's see, it doesn't cross-reference those, but I know that there's another section on transportation in a later section of the policies, so, because, and why I said is because last time we talked about developing some sort of driver or transportation document or series of documents,
Yeah.
like we've done for the use of technology, because we wanted to make sure people knew which
Right.
policies they were supposed to
Yeah.
read and be accountable.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
That was my only thought.
Yep.
Is everybody that's a smaller school bus van driver plus coaches, are, would they technically be covered under the, or this would be the same as a Sutton's Free workplace, since it says school district premises or school district vehicle?
They would be.
Mhm.
But it's the same.
Yeah. I just, yeah, they would. Subject to drug and alcohol testing, that's what I would want to know what that would entail, like what does that mean? I don't know what the bus, for instance, what the bus drivers are subjected to by their employer.
You know what, I don't know that. When they're changing the transportation carrier, I'll ask them what their specific.
They follow.
To Chase's point, I think we want to be the same everywhere, but I think we need to have something that says, you know, bus drivers that are employed by, you know, an outside company follows their
testing.
whatever their policy is.
Yeah.
Internally, for folks that are driving
Yeah. Well,
vehicles follows whatever policy we create, right? And it
Right.
could be, because I assume this is pretty strict because it is specific to,
yeah.
you know, large buses and stuff, and we can make it our own for however we want to handle it
Right.
internally.
Steve, I brought up this question to Bob and our folks at First, or Iowa Central, and they said they follow kind of the federal guidelines, and there's like this matrix that if you're involved in a
Yep.
accident where there's injury and to the hospital, you automatically have to be drug tested for the driver. So they have these different criteria
Yeah.
that the Federal Transportation Authority sets out, and that's what they go off of.
Is there a pre-employment testing, I would assume, or you just don't know?
Because I asked him for their guidelines, and he sent me to the federal regulations. I was like, oh, okay.
This would be crystal clear.
Yeah,
If it matches this, it specifically says there's
Pre-employment.
yeah, this one
Yeah.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
I assume this came from some federal language somewhere. but maybe-
And I think that we do
Let's see.
some drug testing of our drivers at the physical plant, I think, but I have to double check that with Dwayne.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was only post-accident.
Yeah,
I know there's random.
Oh, there is random, because I
'Cause I've had to
know
sign
we just
things for
had-
it,
We had
yeah.
an employee who does some occasional driving up here who had to go. So yeah, you're right, there is some random that
For
happen.
physical land
Mm-hmm.
folks.
Yeah, if driving is part of their responsibilities, because I forgot about that, but yeah, he just went.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But that would be just strictly, I mean, you know, special ed teachers who are, you know, transporting, getting their students out into the community, that would just be a real change in practice to have.
Yeah, that's where you draw that line, right, like, because, you know, you can see pretty easily when someone's getting, that's part of the job of driving, right, clearing snow and doing things like that, right, that's a necessity, and everything else is like, yeah, they're probably going to be doing some driving at some point, somewhere.
Yeah.
Right, so where do you?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, almost all teachers have to drive because you gotta go to PD, usually it's some other place,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's something that's
Yes.
clearly outlined as part of their responsibilities, though. That's what we're talking about.
yeah, I think we're more concerned about the ones that are driving as
Forward.
students.
Yeah, they're driving forward.
And we've implemented some, trying to implement some online driver training, but I know we're just talking about the drug
Mhm.
testing part of this.
Okay.
I know that in a general sense, there is a public kind kind of policy against drug testing of
Mhm.
employees, especially of public employees. But doesn't mean that we can't. I mean, I think we should do what we need to do to be safe, but more often than not. What do you?
Nothing?
There is though, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think
that's
the
what
state
I'm like, I
public
don't
policy
know.
is to not.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we would kind of be going against that grain
Yeah.
if we made it broader than some of the established categories.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it would just require more conversation, more, yeah, put a
Well,
placeholder on
and
it.
there'll be a cost to it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Not
yeah.
that the cost up front doesn't outweigh the potential cost of what would happen, but it is something that needs to be.
Only if you're doing the testing up front.
That's what I mean,
right.
yeah, sorry.
If all
sorry
your
about-
testing is after you've already had an accident and something's
Yeah.
happened,
Sure, yeah.
But
make it more
even
safe.
testing up front doesn't guarantee that they don't.
True.
Mhm.
I mean, in all honesty, like, if we don't really want to get in the weeds, we could simply say, not even do it by position, that if anybody that gets in an accident was students on a vehicle, drug testing would be administered in line with federal guidelines, right? So, I mean, we'd want to look at those and see what
Yeah.
those are, so we don't get into the weeds of trying to wordsmith it. It's just, that's a policy. If you have students in your vehicle, and you get in an accident, or you're driving a district vehicle to cover the physical plate guide, then you get in an accident,
You know, you drug test.
you're gonna be drug tested in this circumstance, not in this circumstance. And that's one option for us to
Mhm.
consider. But I want to do some more research on exactly what the federal
Yeah.
guidelines say.
Yeah.
I would say do more research, but I like that stance better.
Mhm. So if you're transporting a team and you get rear-ended while you're sitting in a stoplight, you're subjected to
Mhm.
Yeah, that's, I guess,
the drug
that
testing
kind
as
of
well.
at fault or
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
like that.
that's why I'm wondering.
There is a
if the federal
fault assigned to
guidelines-
that.
I think
Yeah.
the guidelines, I don't have to look at it. That's
Yeah,
why,
we'd
that's
have
why
to
it's
do
just
Yeah.
more research.
We've got to do more research
Yeah.
to know for sure
Yeah.
if it's covers all scenarios
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
at fault scenarios.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm sorry, where were we? My hand hurts.
It'll allow us to go to 4. No,
No, that means we're going to skip over 406E.
and those are all related.
Yeah, those are all related.
And you got another
We would go
acknowledgement
to-
form there too.
Yeah, we would go to 404, employee conduct and appearance.
Oh, golly.
Cut your hair, hippie.
I know. We studied a an old court case, Carr versus Smith, where a kid's denied entrance into a public school because he has long hairs in Texas, and it's Fifth Circuit ruling. School win. Yeah, it's a crazy, yeah, kids love it, yeah.
Actually, they just had an issue in Texas
I don't see
a
anything
month
too
ago
bad with that.
with hair.
I mean, it's not talking about hairstyles, so hippies can exist.
There you go. Bring yourself.
It's just talking about being neat and, I don't know, discretion.
Yeah.
This is appropriate to the educational environment.
Yeah.
Students should not be role models. Don't dress like the students.
Yeah.
Don't groom like the
Yeah.
students.
Discretion and common sense.
Mhm.
Is there a problem with that one?
See anything in there, Brady?
No, I mean. No, I don't in that language. I think where you would run into problems is, both sides not using common sense in determining what some of those words might mean.
Yeah.
Employee pressing the envelope to where they think it's fine, and administration says that's clearly not fine. That's probably where it's pretty benign language, it seems like.
It has, it references the code of ethics of the DOE. Does that have in it appearance language?
No, I don't think so. And it's on the next, it's the next
It's the
policy.
next, yeah, it's the next, regulation.
It is, and it doesn't talk about how you should dress, I don't think.
No.
Do we have anything that mirrors that language now, or this could be an add?
Good for students.
We do, right, oh, I know, they'll always, yeah, I got coded.
I think we have a general, like, you need to be professional,
Yeah.
but nothing like that.
I know. Maybe just the microphone.
Wow.
Yes,
No, I mean, we've certainly had conversations around the different buildings with this issue. It happens more, I think, often when you have a newer administrator coming in, you know, trying to set a different tone and things like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely been, you know, so that's where I just think, you know, when this is gonna come down to what people consider to be, you know, good taste and discretion and extreme.
and
And
some
when
level of
there's two-
subjectivity to it.
Yeah.
Conflicting thoughts though in a building, say, I don't know,
Say the building's used to wearing jeans on
Right.
days that aren't Friday, and then an administrator comes in and says, nope, only on Fridays are you allowed to wear jeans. That
so,
would create, you know, I mean, that's been an issue.
oh,
Well, but that's not
But it's a kind
I don't know if that's as much a dress situation as it is a management rights situation. Not saying it's inappropriate, it's saying that in this building, we don't wear jeans. I'm proving
Yep.
your point of the slippery slope of
Yeah.
different interpretations, right? Because I'd say,
Yeah.
why does it even fall into that code? We're not
well,
saying that
exactly,
they're-
so on the basis of what? I mean, this is what I'm saying, employees will dress in a.
That's fine, Brady, get rid of it, and we'll just enforce whatever rules we want. So that's what I hear you
That's
say.
right.
That's
No,
what
I-
I'm saying.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, that's where it's not, this, we just haven't had language, we certainly had these conversations. I don't see anything in the language that would, you know, move things so dramatically one way or the other. This is gonna
Okay.
create conversations, which is probably fine.
I agree.
okay,
Nothing but kilts. is what I was
That's
okay.
Oh, there's my December fire.
So then,
The next.
it goes.
It's a lot of reference stuff for that one.
Yeah, that's all reference stuff, that defined in scope, definition,
Yeah.
and it goes for 5 pages. And the next one is Code of Rights and Responsibilities Regulations.
And that's all state law, so,
Yeah.
right?
That's state law? Okay.
I have a code, I'll give everyone.
Pull right out of it.
Licensed employee qualifications, recruitment, selection, 405.2.
And do we know, just as to clarify, these are the most recent iterations of, I don't think anything's changed in chapter 272 or anything, but they're the most recent iterations. And so in terms of a process, then if there were changes, if this mirrors Iowa code, if there were changes in Iowa code, then it would be incumbent upon like this committee or the board to,
Well, I think
make
if
those
we,
revisions.
I
so
think
that-
if we adopt these,
Yeah,
ISB will.
ISB
Well,
updates and
yeah.
forwards,
Would
yep,
send
and then
those.
they send out the new ones each year that have changed, and then we bring those in and we can take
Okay.
a look at those. Yep.
Yep. Yep, that makes sense.
Anything on that? Anything that is no?
No, we don't present a current license to the board secretary every year.
Yeah, I saw that, you're looking at 405.1.
Yeah, 405.1. So my license is a 5-year license, and I submit it
Yeah, when you get.
when I renew it, and it's submitted.
So,
and
yeah, I
I'm
don't think
just saying
that's, it's fine either way, technically you don't, but it, we do put everybody's salary changes on a board agenda every year, and we wouldn't put somebody on a board agenda unless their license
Their
was
license.
current. So technically, we are
Okay.
meeting that,
Yeah,
but I agree.
it's just not the employee.
It's not the way we do that, it's,
Right.
it's given to HR is really what it
Yeah.
is, who it's given to, it's not given to the board secretary.
Right.
You want to change that to HR?
I would,
Okay.
Yeah.
Kim, what's our referral?
Gotcha, yep.
But let me just back up then for a second. Do we, so for the employee, just thinking logistically, so because I just renewed my license and sent it to Chris, me, in HR, and it's a 5-year license, I don't do that again until, okay, so it just says, must present evidence of current license to the board secretary prior to payment of salary each year, so we're still okay. Okay, so it's just
You
considered.
could change the language real simple and just say must be able to present evidence.
Yep.
Like, so if I said, hey, I don't see it, can you show it to me?
Mhm.
Right, otherwise. I'm
Wanna
not
add
gonna
that?
ask.
Okay.
Mhm.
that's an add from the previous iteration, so I don't know what happened.
Okay. It doesn't matter
That
one way or the
language.
other, I mean.
Some are
that-
IASB, some are,
Oh, it's 'cause
It's
they're different
FIS.
versions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the-
So we'll make that change, and 405.2 officially now.
Oh. Do we post on Teach Island?
We have to.
mm-hmm,
Right, and then whenever possible, the preliminary screening of applicants will be conducted by the administrator who will be directly supervising and overseeing the person being hired.
I haven't.
Not a special ed.
Oh. Well, it's not
Whenever
possible.
possible
Yeah,
covers it, but
that's
it
It's
is.
not possible.
But it is. It just doesn't happen.
Potato,
That's not
potato,
true all the
Brady.
time.
Not all the time, but it's practice now, from what I understand. I'm not saying it's one way or the other, I'm just saying this language might not match.
What I know is that they're invited, and sometimes since it's summer, that, you know, that.
For the screening of applicants or the interview?
I don't know, but that's, I guess I'm gonna ask for it. I just know that they're always invited, and whether they can make it.
My understanding was they're invited for the interviews, but not, I didn't know they were invited to the screening of applicants.
Well, every administrator has access to screening, because every administrator has access to
Sure.
those applicant pools.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I could make the argument that they have that ability to do that on the front end. Now,
Yeah.
whether or not it's being done every time, I wouldn't try to lead you down
Right.
that road.
Yep. And this is really more, I bet if you had administrators around the table, they would say what I'm saying. This isn't really
Probably
like an
right.
employee or teacher thing, it's more administratively. I think whenever possible is probably, it covers it, I'm just saying that it,
Yeah, I mean, I think that whenever possible leaves that wiggle room. Steve, Amy, and I'm comfortable with that because I don't think whenever possible is limited to a time restriction, like using the special ed example.
you could just use whenever possible and appropriate.
Well, I would say whenever we decided it wasn't possible because of the audit that was just conducted a couple of years ago, we determined that, given that, we were not in a position to allow that to happen. You know, I think there's different ways to read it, but if we need to make it
Yeah,
looser,
yeah, I can see that.
I'm never opposed to making the language, I shouldn't say
No.
never, I'm not opposed to making it more flexible.
Right.
But I'm also okay with how it reads.
Okay.
So try to keep it as close to what's already there.
So 405.3.
This goes back to the designee idea. The superintendent will obtain the employee's signature. I mean, I know that's, I'm not trying to split a hair there, but superintendent or designee will obtain.
Because HR sends.
Yeah, I send it to, we send it
That's
to
fine.
HR, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, obviously, they report to the superintendent, so it might be an.
It's fine, the
I just don't want it, then
superintendent
someone to say, you
Yeah.
know, HR must, I mean, I don't know.
And just as an FYI, it looks like we did some research on this, and even though it says written, that doesn't actually mean handwritten. Chapter 554 would allow it to be electronic, so it
For the
still-
signature.
still qualifies. Yeah, just has to.
For
be
the
some
staff
sort of-
signature.
Yeah, some sort of written document, but that doesn't mean it can't be electronically transmitted or signed. No, last.
Whatever language is used around Brady's point should probably be consistent, like throughout the policies. Are we saying
I
superintendent
agree.
signature
And
and
that
that implicitly then means a designee, or are we
Or do
explicitly
you need to
saying?
put it in
Yeah,
there?
and Brady said that, and that one came up earlier, and I thought that too, but then I thought we talked about that, Madison went about
Right.
somewhere
I think
putting
pretty
in
much global
that
is-
whenever,
Yeah, that's
whenever
what
it
I
says
heard. That was a
superintendent, we
global.
need
It's gonna be
superintendent
superintendent or
designate,
designate.
that
Yeah.
we need to do that globally somewhere.
Jason, can I back up? What did you just say? So you're saying that all, I mean, just that.
So
we
chapter
would-
554, the code,
Yeah,
allows for electronic signatures. So like even though it says written contract, if it's signed electronically, that chapter of the code says that suffices.
so I could send it in.
We want, yes, I mean, technically, we'd like to get to a place where we
Okay.
can send you an electronic
Yeah.
contract, you can
Yeah.
electronically sign it
Yeah.
and send it back. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is that code chapter allows us.
Yeah.
That'd be a problem.
Like you do your taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, I just did a comment, but I didn't.
Yeah.
For that, okay, that's a, yeah.
I just don't
can-
want like that saying written to
Yeah.
hold us up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
405.4. Continuing contract. Good. 405.5, license employee workday. Like there's thoughts there, Chase.
I know, I just like the last sentence. Don't worry, you can work more if you want to.
That's funny. Better be in there.
Yeah.
This is just so you know, this is just the minimum. If you wanna work longer, go for it.
Yeah, so advance approval to be absent from the school building
Exactly.
must be obtained from the principal. We have some language in the negotiated agreement on some of this for teachers.
Yeah.
I don't know what, so licensed employees
It's, I mean,
would be.
that's who it would be, I mean,
Is anybody else there, or is it SFA?
oh, I guess
licensed
in
employee,
this
or-
one, they don't exclude administrators.
No,
They wouldn't, not under the state code, they don't qualify, I don't think.
SFA sound,
Because they're not licensed under 279.
and paras. No, so it would just be,
teachers and nurses.
The building principal is authorized to make changes in the workday in order to facilitate the education program.
When would that happen?
Yeah.
So I
Well,
was just thinking-
is that like when, they talked about, I don't know.
Is that like emergency stuff, Brady? Like there's a special, your art teacher's out, your music teacher's out, your PE teacher's out?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to think.
That's
of
what I
that.
thought they were referring to, like if
Yeah.
you did, building was short of sub,
That's
and
what
a
I'm,
teacher was
that's what I'm
on
wondering,
sick,
if that's what that,
and they have to not only pull in the specials, but take away prep from regular teachers.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's, that's what I would think they're talking about.
Well, they define workday, right, it's a day, I mean, I don't.
It seems like they're speaking to the length of it, right? This
Yeah.
policy, not like what happens inside of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I guess I was thinking.
in which
Just
case,
that
no,
they're
they
gonna-
can't.
Well, that's where I was at, so you're gonna let your principal say, because we.
This is our end, let's leave it, keep
keep
all your teachers an extra hour so we can get more out of them.
Right,
Start it
or I'm
over.
gonna start it, in spite of the fact that everybody else are thinking.
starting page instead of something. Yeah, it seems to me that.
This one runs up against some of our language in our negotiated agreement and some of the battles we've had both with teachers and our conversations we've had with teachers and administrators. Because we ran that with bell schedule before we standardized it. Schools, secondary schools were running different bell schedules based on the desire of the principal.
I don't see the need for why that would need to be in there, what we would.
It does kind of stand out as an outlier to me, but
This whole thing, or the.
Or just
Well,
that line.
I'm
That line.
specifically talking about the line, I guess.
Make changes in the work day.
I don't think they want to do that, Steve.
Yeah.
Employees will notify the office when they leave and return to the building. That's our negotiated agreement language. This says advance approval to be absent from the school building must be obtained from the principal whenever the licensed employee must leave the school building during the workday.
So, right, so, you know,
So if my building,
but remember,
yeah,
a negotiated agreement
supersedes. this.
supersedes this.
Okay.
So just because we've agreed to language in that, doesn't mean that we necessarily need to agree to make that language reflective up here, because there might be a time that you and I aren't sitting here,
Yeah,
that we want to move away from that language, and we're willing to give something else up, because we want to go back to this. So technically, if we agree to change this language to match that language, corporations bargaining away a lot of stuff.
mhm,
So, sorry, I can't agree with you on that, on that one.
yeah.
But at that one sentence about the building principal authorized to make changes, I think we can all agree, well, not, sorry, the administration, you can agree on that one. I mean, the board, I shouldn't speak for the board can do that, I can't recommend from the administration's perspective to make our language and the policies
Yeah.
actually negotiate.
No,
That's all that
if this
we-
language supersedes
It does,
this,
yeah.
then,
It
yeah,
does.
then that, I'm, you know, I
I think we
understand.
talked about that,
It just seems
early
weird.
on in this process, that we would have that statement somewhere that, like, at the beginning of all the whatever series that anything in a negotiated agreement is,
Supersedes
Yeah.
the policy.
if there's
Yep.
a, there's a
Is there
contradiction.
conflict? And it says that in the, I think we agree to that in the contract every year, that we're gonna defer to the agreement.
Yeah, can someone help me with the second sentence? Licensed employees who are employed only during the academic year will have the same workday as other licensed employees.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I'm just trying to think, if it's just teachers, what teacher would not be just,
The only other licensed employees that have non-academic year contracts are administrators.
yeah,
So then.
Like you said, nurses, are they considered?
are,
But we've
Well,
got
or,
some folks
yeah,
that have
extra service
extended
days.
contracts, right, we've got,
So-
counselors have extended contracts.
right, that's what I was wondering. Some of the coordinators do.
So we're definitely gonna strike the building principal is authorized to make changes.
Well, so the definition of licensed employee does include administrators. In the policy, if you look at 405.1, licensed employees, including administrators, are those employees required to hold an appropriate license from the Iowa Department of Education?
So you wanna leave it in there then?
Oh, do you? Because administrator hours are 7:30 to 4:30.
No, they're
Yeah.
not.
Well, you flex it during the summer,
No, but you have to establish the workday somehow, right?
right?
Without that, you just
Yeah,
have
the
an
record
absence of
count.
anything.
So, well, I'm just wondering, so if you flex in the summer, which I don't have an issue with, if people do that, what does that mean for that second sentence?
I think it means that you can't make them work. My interpretation of that is not
You can
necessarily
totally
that it
start in the
starts
summer
it.
too.
Mhm.
You take Fridays off. Yeah, I like that, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it means
I'm just asking.
start and end as much as it means everybody's regular workday is an 8-hour workday. And
That's
so
what I was trying to say.
administrators are working 8-hour day.
Leave it in there, use define the
Teachers,
workday.
that's what teachers work too, that they don't work a 9-hour workday because they only work during
Yeah.
the school year to make up for not working in summer. That's how I read it. It's not
Okay.
about start and stop time, it's
Yeah.
about length of workday.
Think we can get through licensed employee assignments?
That's it.
That's really short.
So did that sentence get taken out?
Yeah.
They
so
did.
it's principal. So 405.6.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
I said, I don't think I think that we want to change that first sentence.
I mean, we're
No.
gonna.
Only got
propose to
1,200
approve it
out of
after the fact,
1,300
right,
out.
after a recommendation comes, right, but.
That's not our sole
I know.
discretion of the board.
That is odd that it's written that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be the superintendent or designee will make those assignments. It shouldn't be the board.
Yeah, I don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
why is
Can
it-
you imagine what that would look like?
The two
People-
sentences are
Yeah,
backwards
they
in
need
the
to
way
be-
that, or the two
Yeah.
Flip
paragraphs.
the paragraphs.
Yeah.
You make a recommendation, and we say yea or nay. But
Yeah,
say
you
we'll-
approve them, but you don't make, yeah.
Right.
But if we don't approve it,
No, I mean
we
technically.
are making the decision that
Well,
it's
no,
not.
technically,
Yeah, technically assignment, all the board is really technically has to do is do the employment. The assignment
Yeah,
is
true.
per code is.
Well, that's why I want to see that legal reference to 279.8.
It's
Why?
very general. I've got it pulled up already.
Is it?
Yeah,
So it doesn't have that specific?
not that part.
That is weird.
Can you imagine a line of teachers coming to community comment?
I don't like my
asking the board to
assignment.
change
Yeah.
their.
Can you just have the, like, get rid of the first
Second
sentence,
grade, you reckon?
the first paragraph and the second one, add in, you know, superintendent makes recommendations to the board for approval regarding the assignment. It's all just kind of one.
Well, you have your
But
administrators
we,
too, though.
what they're saying is we don't actually approve, we just approve them being hired, we
Right.
don't approve their assignment.
We
You
don't
don't,
approve
you
it,
don't
yeah.
have anything with everything.
I don't know, each little line says this person's working a FTE at such and such school. I mean, it's in there. when we
Right.
approve
It
it.
is.
But once they're hired, if we want to move them around.
We don't bring them back to you,
We
like,
can
let's
do
say
that.
we hire somebody in July and we place them at school X, and then enrollment doesn't pan out, we move them to school Y. We don't bring that back to the board, it's not on another agenda.
Sometimes.
We
Actually,
get them in there where it says,
It is.
moving
It's
the
those
FTE from
placement-
this school to FTE at this school.
It is.
No change to salary, it's in there.
It's in.
It is.
It
All
is.
those changes, oh, when we went to the new,
Yeah,
rec
it's
for
in-
hires,
They
Yeah.
put them all.
they put them all
It
in.
is, yeah. Because sometimes they're honking on the documents, I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot, but it's just assignment change.
Chris Bean's pretty thorough like that.
And are the administrative ones are that way too?
It's really more because of lack of, in all honesty, it's really more because of lack of record keeping systems. And so
Yeah.
the board agenda is a way for us, as a historical way for us to track placements. It's just how it developed.
But sort of to your point, it probably, if the board said, we're a no, pull it from consent, we're a no on that. I don't know.
I just
But
think,
it's always
I mean,
the superintendent.
do you guys want that role?
That's my,
I think
that's
that's-
Oh, I don't
because
disagree
the
with you.
board.
Yeah,
wants
I think you better be
that
careful
more.
with if you really want that. That's a big, that sentence opens
Yes.
up, I think, a large can of
Yeah.
worms.
I don't disagree
It's
with
the
that.
superintendent or designee responsibility
Yeah,
to make recommendations to the board of licensed employees.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
And then
Well,
That's what that second one said, I mean, I guess if you just strike that first
Mhm.
paragraph part. Then you got
But I
one
think that
sentence
second
follows.
sentence is important in making each assignment, it's not the board, but the superintendent or designee will consider the qualifications of each licensed employee and the needs of the district.
So it seems, to your point, that the second paragraph, which is just one
Yeah.
sentence, should be the first thing, and then the second sentence of the
Yes.
first paragraph should immediately follow that.
Right,
And then the very
Regina's
first sentence should go bye-bye.
yes.
Suggesting changing board to superintendent. That second sentence you're suggesting,
Right.
changing the word board to superintendent.
Correct, or designee, bless you.
Thank you.
Everybody okay with that change?
Yeah.
All right.
You with us, Ken?
Can we do
Yep.
that?
In essence of time, I need to set the next P&G meeting so we can adjourn.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Do you all want to do the 10th? Can you do the 10th? Before the board meeting?
I'm sorry,
Tenth,
of December?
Yes,
we have a board meeting that day.
yes, that's what I said before the
Yep.
board meeting.
Works.
Mr. Merlin.
Works.
I had finance committee on my calendar.
Now, old,
Okay.
I thought we deleted those from the calendar.
They,
Oh.
well, they're out of board docs.
Well, I mean, that turns out, I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to be at.
So wait,
This meeting,
is that
I'm okay
good?
with this.
Okay.
4:30?
Yeah.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.